Hey friends, it's Rana, and today I'll be talking about all the books that I've read in the month of February. In total, I started and finished 7 books, and the first one is not actually a full length book, it is a poem called The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman. On the 20th of January 2021, Amanda became the sixth and youngest poet to ever deliver a poetry reading at a presidential inauguration before the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden. It is a solid poem. It is very American poem, and it is not the usual type of poetry. It is more of spoken word poetry. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I think it is good, but not so good to win the Goodreads Choice Award for the poetry genre. I think it doesn't reach that status yet. It is good, but not that good. If you don't want to read the poem, you can watch Amanda's performance of it. I'll link it in the description box down below for you to watch. The next book I finished is The Way of Kings Part 2 by Brandon Sanderson. It is the first book in the Stormlight Archive. I read the first part in January and finished the second part in February. I won't be talking much about this book here because I made a complete separate dedicated review video for it. I'll put it in the cards up there if you would like to go and watch it to know more about my thoughts on it. It is of course non-spoilery review, and in short, it is a really great first book and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book is Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shannon McGuire. If you don't know, every year I really look forward to reading the new installment of the Wayward Children series, and this year was no different. Where the Drowned Girls Go is the 7th book in the Wayward Children series, and in this one we follow a character that was a side one in previous books. I think she was introduced in the 3rd book, Beneath the Sugar Sky, and she was later had a small role in the Come Tumbling Down book. Her name is Cora. She is a plus-sized girl who went to a world of mermaids, and she later got claimed by the drowned gods in a different world, the Moors. She found home in the mermaid world, but it seems like bad things happened to her with the drowned gods and the Moors, and she doesn't really want anything to do with it. She doesn't know what to do, and she is very terrified. So she asks Eleanor to transfer her to the other school, the Whitethorn School. It was previously explained in other books that it is the other school where children who went through traumatic experiences when they went through doors to different worlds, and they don't want to remember anything from their journey, they go to the Whitethorn School, and she hopes that it is the best choice for her. As always, I really enjoyed this book. It is not my favorite in the series, but I really enjoyed it. I think I found out that I prefer reading the books where they talk about their stories when they went to different worlds, more than this one where it is mostly set in our world. This book focuses more on the Whitethorn School and how different it is from the Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children. It was a quick and fun read. I finished the audiobook in one sitting. As always, the audiobook was amazing. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I really hope and wish from the bottom of my heart that the next book will be about Eleanor's story, because I would love to read about her story and what happened with her when she went through her door. The next book is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. Okay, so this book starts in 1921, following a young lady in her mid-20s who is called Elsa Walcott. She is the only single one between her sisters who both are married. She is very tall and considered ugly by her family, who are very blunt about it and always tell her in her face that she is ugly all the time. She loves reading books, especially romance ones. She wants to go and study to become a writer, but her parents are of course against it. Some things and a mistake happen. I won't say what exactly happened because there aren't much plot points that are important and I don't want to spoil you, but she ends up marrying a man that she barely knows and she leaves her family forever. Fast forward to 1934, Elsa now has a daughter and a son, and America is going through the Great Depression, so she decides to move to California in hopes that she can find a better life for her kids, but she ends up in a far worse place and she is struggling to survive. The book had a great and promising beginning, but I don't know what later happened exactly. The pacing was quick but shallow, and I really felt detached from the characters. unlike my previous reads by Kristen Hanna, and I really, really hated one of the characters who is the daughter of Elsa. I found her to be very mean to her mother for absolutely no reason. The book tried real hard to be emotional but left no impact whatsoever, and the ending was very, very disappointing. I felt like Kristen Hanna tried really hard to make another tear-jerking ending like The Nightingale, but miserably failed. I can't believe I gave this book only 3 stars. I thought I'm gonna love it as much as I loved The Nightingale and The Great Alone, if not even more, but this book made me have less expectations for her future ones. And it is honestly very sad because I genuinely adored The Nightingale and The Great Alone with all of my heart, but this book was not it. The next book have a really different scenario from The Four Winds, where I had very high expectations for it, but this one I had zero expectations and I was right about it. It is, without no surprise, Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book follows 2 timelines. The first one is in 1983, following the 4 children of a famous singer called Mick Riva. The oldest one of the children is Nina Riva. She is very rich, as all of them. Every year, she throws a party at her mansion to celebrate the end of summer. And in this timeline, we follow the events before, during, and after the party. The second timeline is in the past, following mainly their father and a little bit of their childhood, if I remember correctly, because as you can see, I tried to erase this book from my memory the moment I finished reading it. This book is a family drama with too many characters who are all unnecessary and they all blended together, and I didn't care for any of them, and neither did I care for the non-existing plot. I actually previously read 2 books by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The first one is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I gave it 2 stars. Daisy Jones and the Six, the worst book I read in 2021. I give it 1 stars, and this book, Malibu Rising, wasn't any different. I really hated it. I give it 1 stars, and I knew I'm gonna hate it before I even started reading it because of how much I disliked her previous 2 books, which are her most popular books and most loved books. The reason why I forced myself to finish reading Malibu Rising is because it is included in a long video that I'm working on for months. I've been working on, and I didn't want to cancel it just to avoid reading this book, so I forced myself to read it and finish it just for the sake of that video. And now I can confidently announce to the whole world that Taylor Jenkins Reid is my least favorite author ever, and I will promise myself to never pick anything that women wrote or will write in the future. I will never read anything by her ever again. The next book is Loveless by Alice Oseman. Loveless follows Georgia. She is 18 and she never been in love before, and everyone around her makes her feel like it is the worst thing that could possibly happen to anyone ever just because she didn't kiss a boy before. She just entered university with her other 2 best friends, and she is desperate, to say the least, to be in a relationship with anyone just to prove to herself that there's nothing wrong with her. And this book is her journey to discovering that she is actually asexual and aromantic. First of all, I am 26 years old and I've never been in a relationship before, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, whether you are asexual or not, because I'm not, and it is totally fine not to be in a relationship. I read and loved Radio Silence by Alice Oseman, and I wanted to read something similar to that, so that's why I picked Loveless, even though it is a YA contemporary book, which I don't usually enjoy, but I enjoyed this book. It was quite cute and fun to read. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. I think it would be a great book for teenagers, and I felt it would make a really good movie. I just don't think it was revolutionary for me, but I know that many people would love this book, and I think it has a great message behind it, since there isn't much books around that talk about asexuality and romanticism, and it is a great subject for people to educate themselves with by reading YA contemporary books if they enjoy them. The last book I read in February is Pet by Quake Amazy. This book is a very short book, like 203 pages short, and I don't want to talk much about it as not to spoil anything to anyone, and I believe that it is better to go into this book knowing as little as possible to enjoy it more. All you need to know is that it is set in the city of Lucelle, where monsters are known to no longer exist. Until one day, our main character Jam, who is trans and black by the way, she finds a big eyeless monster in her house made of horns, feathers, and claws, and he tells her that he is on a mission to hunt another monster in the city. If this short synopsis intrigues you, go and read this book. I am absolutely sure you're gonna love it. It is a very fast, dark, and whimsical read, and I enjoyed every second listening to the audiobook, and I know you're gonna enjoy it too. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I highly, highly recommend it. So that's it for today's video. I hope you liked it. Please subscribe to see my future videos, and I will see you next time. Bye!